Yo, check it. I'm doing the intro by myself this time around because Christian's not here. He is sick, but I do have a special guest today. I have my little cousin,
I feel like you're so hesitant about saying that you're my cousin.
'Cause
Are
we're
you
not.
ashamed of me?
No, but technically we're not really cousins.
Okay, but we're Filipino, so
Everybody's a cousin.
everybody's a cousin.
True.
If we go to each other's houses for the holidays, then we're cousins.
Okay. She's my little cousin. Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Kit. A lot of my family knows me as Katharina, but I go by Kit. I'm an accountant, I'm a dancer, I'm a singer, I do all sorts of random things, and now I'm lucky enough to be on my Kuya JERiCK's podcast. And if you didn't know what Kuya is, that means older brother.
Yay! Welcome to the podcast. She's cool.
I'm cool. He asked me if I was nervous to do this, and I'm like, come on. Do I look nervous?
A little bit.
A little bit, but not
Yeah.
so much. I'm not shy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, today we're gonna be talking about. What are we talking about today?
The Asian expectation.
Ooh.
That's what I'm calling it. And I want it to be said with like that too. Very serious.
I know we got like. I feel like everybody has a typical. Is it standard? Standard the right word? Or perspective of what a typical Asian is.
So stereotypes.
Stereotype, yeah. Stereotype is the word I was looking for.
I mean, I guess what I want to talk about today falls somewhat into that, but it delves a little bit more deeper. I'm not going to talk about how I'm a bad driver because I am a bad Asian woman driver.
Like a bad driver.
He was teasing me when I pulled up and parked. He's like, "Whoa, you parked so far away from the sidewalk."
Yeah, parked almost.
I was not in the road, okay? It was a little bit, there's a little distance from the sidewalk, but it was perfectly safe. And all of the accidents that I've gotten in were not my fault.
Okay. I'll give you that pass.
So we're not going to talk about how Asians are bad drivers or how Asians are good at math, even though I'm an accountant. But that's besides the point. I wanted to talk more about Asian mentality. And there are different points that I wanted to touch on. One being an Asian creative, and another being in the idea of being perfect in the Asian community. So, which one do you want to talk about first?
Let's talk about being perfect.
Being perfect. So, I don't know if this is true for other Asians, but when you're Filipino, you can't just be good at something. You can't just be better than others. You can't just be your best. You can't just be the best. You have to be perfect. When I was in school, I didn't strive to do well. I didn't strive to get 100%. I strived to get the highest grade I could, which meant 150%. I did every extra credit assignment I could. Like, my goal in college was to graduate with higher than a 4.0. I was close, but I didn't make it.
That sounds very sad.
It is.
I think I'm lucky enough that I never had to deal with that. Yeah, thanks, Mom, for not pushing me too hard.
I guess a lot of the pressure came too from being the firstborn in the family. Like, out of my first cousins, I was the firstborn. A lot was expected of me. I was the ate, the big sister, the big older cousin, and I was the example. So I had to be perfect. I had to be good at sports. I had to be good in music. I had to be a good dancer, good in school. And anything that I did that kind of hindered that was immediately squashed. So throughout school, for example, in elementary school, I would blurt a lot. I was very talkative. I suppressed that part of myself because I wanted to be perfect. I wanted to get that golden star. And now, and as an adult, when you realize that there are so many things wrong with you, it's like, why am I like this? Oh, it's because of that mentality that I had as a kid. And it's interesting. Like, this year has definitely been a year of discovery for me.
Do you feel like, as an adult now, that you still kind of push for that perfect person?
Absolutely, because it's not even just a feeling of trying to have to be perfect, but a feeling of that you're never good enough. I mean, I don't know if you feel this as a photographer, as a videographer, but in my job, I I do really well. I would consider myself pretty successful and pretty knowledgeable at what I do. But I know that every time my boss calls my extension and says, "Hey, can I come talk to you? Can you come talk to me for a second?" My heart just immediately starts beating so fast, and I think to myself, "Oh my gosh, what did I do? This is the moment that I'm going to get fired." And that's happened to me literally an hour after my boss has given me a raise. Like, it doesn't matter how many accomplishments I get, I will always have that fear of not being good enough.
Are you trying to work towards something that's a little bit more chill, relaxed, probably less? I don't know if insecure is the right word.
Um,
Because I feel like you might be a lot
I'm very
happier
I am a
if you
very
don't
high
have
strung
to
person.
if
I
you don't
think-
have to like force or not force, but like
But
kind
that's
of
the
be
thing.
so tough on yourself all the time.
That's the thing. It's not the environment. It's my mentality as
Yeah.
a person. Whether it's in dance or working out or in my job, I feel like I'm lacking or I could do better. And it's good. It gives me the drive that I need to do better. But at the same time, my confidence in my skills is very low. And I know it's a mentality change. It's something that I need to change within myself. But I'm trying to fix 25 years of.
True. It's definitely it's not an easy task to fix all that. But yeah, I know you're working on it and you should look into a more of a I know it sounds very hippie-ish, but living in the now rather than like always looking into like not necessarily the negative, but trying to prove to yourself that you're good enough.
Yeah, well, so I go to therapy
Oh,
every
okay.
2 weeks.
Oh, nice.
And,
Is
you
that
know,
helping?
Yeah, it's helping a lot. I mean, it delves into the idea that, as I said earlier, I suppressed so much throughout my childhood, my adolescence, that now that I'm an adult and I have control over what happens in my life, I'm finding it sounds terrible, but it's actually a good thing. I'm finding out all the things that are not quite so right with me. Like this year, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and actually just today, I was diagnosed with sleep apnea.
What is that?
So sleep apnea is a condition wherein your breathing, your percentage of breathing when you're sleeping, it lowers, and you actually stop breathing when you're sleeping. And
That's not good.
no, it's not good.
Yeah.
People have told me, they're like, you seem like you're dying when you sleep.
Why do you just like breathe less while you're sleeping? Is that what it is?
I stop breathing because in my case, my throat passage is abnormally small. So when I sleep on my back, my tongue will cover my throat and it'll
shit.
block the air passage. So according to the sleep study that I did last night, I stopped breathing 15 times when I was sleeping last night. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's pretty insane.
So
That's kind of scary. I should maybe I should get myself checked.
do you snore
Yeah, I do. You know what's
really bad?
No, sometimes like my snore wakes me up. It's like I feel like I'm choking.
You might
But
want to do a sleep study.
Yeah, but it only happens once in a while. Like I snore like it's like a quick like choke, but then I wake up and then like, oh, okay.
It's genetic too. So if your parents have sleeping problems, you might want to do a sleep study.
Damn.
Just trying to save your life here, but whatever.
Man, sometimes like being an adult kind of sucks because you have to worry about all these things that you never really had to think about before.
Like anxiety and depression.
Yeah, because before it was just like, oh, you're just finish school and that's all you gotta worry about. Finish school, go to work. But being an adult, you have to worry about all this stuff.
But isn't it good though, because you're learning more about yourself? And in my case, with my bipolar disorder, I didn't know what it was before, and I had no explanation as to why things in my life just weren't fitting. I would ask myself, why doesn't this work for me? Why can't I control my emotions? Why can't I sleep? Why do I feel this excessive amount of energy, or the absence of energy? What is going on with me? And I could never understand it. And then when I got my diagnosis and I started going to therapy and I started doing more research about what is going on with my body and the way that my brain works, my life just improved drastically improved.
Yeah, I mean, when I turned 30, I went to the doctors, and apparently my cholesterol was pretty high. So
You just went to the doctors when you were 30?
yeah, I'm Asian. I don't go to doctors unless I'm dying.
You just said earlier that we're American now.
I know, but in the roots of being an Asian,
That's true though.
yeah, like a typical Asian don't normally go to doctors unless, like, obviously there's
Unless the Vicks doesn't work.
yeah. If all the home remedies doesn't work, then you go to a doctor. Otherwise, you just brush that off. If you have a flu, sleep it off.
But you should go for your yearly checkups.
Being an adult sucks.
It's not that bad. I mean, we get more freedom than we do. And, you learn more about yourself and what you like and what you dislike and what works for you and what doesn't. And, growing up in an Asian family, your parents control so much of who you are and what you do. And that's why you have so many Filipinos who are nurses and Filipinos who are accountants.
Typical.
Like
people, Filipinos that work in the post office.
yeah.
Yeah.
When Joe Coy was here in town a couple
Did you watch?
years ago, I did. I was there.
How was that?
And it was so cool. It was so cool.
Yeah.
He started singing karaoke at the end. It was awesome.
Oh, yeah?
But when he was there, he's like, all right, raise your hand if you're Filipino. And like more than half the crowd was screaming, raising their hands. And he's like, so there's some hospital here that's empty. So if you get in an accident tonight, this is where you want to be.
He's not wrong.
Yeah.
Half of those Filipinos are probably nurses.
But that's like, going back, that's who our parents told us to be. And now I think we're lucky because, first of all, we live in the States.
Yeah, we have a
And
little bit more options.
We have a little bit more options. You have a little bit more freedom. I mean, we're not living with our parents. If we were in the Philippines,
Yeah, we probably live.
you would be
with
living
the
at
whole
home.
family. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's their culture and tradition. You just, as a family, you just live
Stay together.
Yeah,
I mean, I stopped living with family when I was 20, and I was the rebel of the family. I don't know if you ever noticed that, but I was the first one to get a tattoo. I was the first one to move out. I was the first one to get a boyfriend, and I was the bad one. I was a straight A college student working full time, putting myself through school. But because I was living in sin with my boyfriend, I was the bad child. I wasn't even doing anything wrong. I had a 10 p.m. curfew at 20.
well, yeah, being the oldest out of all the cousins is usually you'll have the toughest upbringing.
And now look at me. Now I'm finding out all the things that I have to deal with in my life.
So doing therapy, you think it's helping you?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think it's
I mean, how long have you been doing therapy again?
since March this year?
Oh, so like almost maybe
Almost a year.
Yeah, almost a year.
About 9 months. It's definitely helped. I've gotten I read this thing before that said the people who go to therapy for the people who don't go to therapy, which is
Wait.
absolutely true.
Repeat that again.
The people who go to therapy for people who refuse to go to therapy.
Why do you feel like you're helping other people's problems?
Not necessarily, but in going to therapy, not only do I learn about myself, but I learn how to deal with other human interactions. It's basically like
it's basically
studying.
you're doing it for other people in a way because it's helping you,
Primarily, it's
helping. Wait, hold on. Helping you deal with them in a way.
Kind of.
Okay.
It's primarily for me to understand what's going on in my head, but then I learn how to deal with the interactions of other people, because with bipolar disorder, my emotions are so heightened and they're so sporadic and out of control, and I go from 0 to 60 like nothing. But people are not receptive to that. So I have to learn how to tailor my talk, how to understand when somebody is mad at me, they're not mad at me, they're taking it out on me, and different things like that. So you learn how to communicate with people who don't communicate in the same way that you do.
Yeah, that's a big big deal, especially for like any relationship, either your family or your friends, your significant other. Just being able to like know how to communicate properly is such a important.
It makes
thing.
you very reflective, therapy. It makes you really analyze the things that are going on in your head and in your life. And humans have the tendency to associate emotions with emotions that don't really explain what they're feeling. Like, people always say, this makes me angry. Does it make you angry, or does it make you feel hurt and it's coming out as anger?
Ooh. Yeah, I don't even look at it like that.
Is your emotion really the emotion that you're feeling, or is it masking another emotion?
Yeah, because like sometimes when you're angry, it's more that you're hurt too, because somebody hurt you.
Like when you break up with somebody, you feel so mad,
True.
mad that happened. But are you mad, or are you hurt? And are you mad that they hurt you? So it's these kind of things. I recommend that everybody go to therapy.
I was going to ask you that. Like, do you recommend people going to therapy? I've actually never gone. Like it sounds. I don't want to sound too cocky, but I feel like I don't necessarily need to go to therapy. I mean, I could probably learn a few things
a lot of people say that, and a lot of people think that. They think, why am I going to pay somebody else to fix and listen to my problems when I can do that for myself? But think about this. How many people just on your social media complain about depression, anxiety, anger issues, excessive spending, alcoholism, and feeling of loneliness? How many people do you, in this day and age, talk about just anxiety and depression alone?
Yeah, I mean,
but
definitely a lot. But
and how many people actually do something about it?
Yeah, I mean, I could see the benefits of going to therapy. But like I said, like I'm not one of those people that you just described. Which is I'm definitely lucky. Because I think I'm a little bit more self-aware than most people. Like I know what I want, I know what I don't want.
That's true. I've noticed that about you.
Like I know what's good for me and I know what's not good for me. But there's definitely, I mean, I'm constantly learning every single day. And I guess that's my therapy with myself.
And self-therapy is good too. And I think this is the way that you should look at it.
And this podcast helps a lot too. This is my therapy.
You're talking about your problems.
Yeah, to everybody else that's listening out there.
Well, if you think about it, for physical injuries, you go to the doctor, right?
Yes.
When something's wrong. But even when something's not wrong with you, you're supposed to go to see your primary care physician.
You're right about that. Yeah.
Year. Or, when you don't have a toothache, but you go to the dentist to make sure that everything is okay.
True.
It's the same thing for your brain. Even if there's nothing wrong with your brain, first of all, if there is something wrong with whatever's going on with you mentally and emotionally, you should definitely go see a therapist. But even if there's not something, just to check in, like a little checkup once a year, once every 2 years, it's good.
How do they do that? Do they just is there like a walk-in therapy where I just like, maybe I'm feeling therapy next month, then I just want to go in and check it out? How does that work?
I'm pretty sure you'd have to book an appointment.
I mean, yeah, I mean,
There's a lot.
aside from that, but like, is there like, do I need to like subscribe to something? Like, I have to do this every single month?
No,
No?
a lot of therapy is covered by health insurance,
Okay.
and you can just call a lot of places, and they'll ask you how many times you want to book, and if you only want to book once, that's fine.
Interesting.
It's just like the doctor. I
Yeah,
mean,
she'll give it a try.
you don't subscribe to the doctor.
True. Definitely not because I'm Asian. I don't go to doctors. But you should definitely go to doctors. Yeah.
If you have health insurance, go to the doctor.
Yeah, use it because I regret not using mine when I was working.
Especially if you're a woman
Yeah, when I was
or
working
sexually active.
for like 3 years, I only used it maybe like at the end before I left that job, which sucks. Maybe I should have took advantage of that.
See, you're one of the people who will be like, I'm not gonna go to the doctor, and then the one time you go after like 5 years, they're like, oh, this is wrong and this is wrong and
Yep.
this is wrong. It's like your car. Okay, if you're like really into cars, okay, I gotta
not into cars, but go ahead.
Okay, so for the people who are really into cars, you have people like me who don't really
Don't really care.
who don't really put a lot of work into their car, and they're like, I'm not gonna have my car checked. And then you go and bring in your car, and they're like, oh my gosh, all these things are wrong with it. And all you can think is, why? I didn't do anything. Well, I didn't get it checked. I didn't get it.
True.
Or you didn't get the oil changed, or you didn't do whatever you needed to do to take care of your car. It's the same thing. You gotta take care of your body.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Can you tell I'm the ate of the family?
You're not my ate. You're younger than me. But
I know,
yes.
but I have that role in the family, so I'm just used to telling people what to do. That's why I'm a good accountant.
Okay. What else do we have on the little notes that you sent me?
Well, we wanted to talk too about, and this builds off of what we said earlier about becoming your own person as opposed to the person your parents wanted you to be. And that is having what is deemed a stable career versus flourishing in your creative nature.
Yeah, I have a pretty big opinion about that.
Oh, you don't say.
Yes. Yeah, so obviously I'm a creative. I'm an artist. And as an Asian, being an artist is not a career end goal for most Asians.
It's always seen as, oh, that's a cute hobby.
Yes, it's a good hobby.
But what are you really going to do with
it's
your
like,
life?
How do you make? That's the always the question. Like, how do you make money with that?
Mm-hmm. How are you going to support yourself?
Exactly. Like, how do you support your family? I'm like, I don't even have a family yet. Like, why am I worrying about that now? Like it's always like, I feel like as an Asian, I don't know, maybe other cultures too, but they're always thinking about the future, especially in the being financially stable.
Which is
Do you think that's just an immigrant thing?
I think it is an immigrant thing. And, other cultures have it as well, but it's very predominant in the immigrant culture because you have parents, especially if you're first gen, you have parents who grew up in the third world country and didn't have the opportunities that we do here, who were not financially stable. And I know my dad, when he was living in the Philippines, they don't buy notebooks, they buy each piece of paper.
True. I remember that because my parents used to have a store and we sell those papers.
Yeah. Like that's how hard it was living in a different country. And so they come here and they want their children to prosper. And in order to be successful and prosper, it's all about that dollar sign at the end of the day.
Yeah, because every time I visit Philippines too, I can really see how lucky I am to be living in the United States of America.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like even though obviously like I'm not rich or anything,
We're living the American dream.
Yeah, I'm still living a lot better than most people in like third world countries.
Well, I mean, it just goes to show you can do anything here. I mean, I came here after living in the Philippines for 7 years in 2013. I didn't even have my high school records with me. I had nothing. No work experience. no high school records. I went to TMCC, took my acuplacer, went to college, got financial aid. I got myself a job, and now I'm an accountant and I have a car. I live in a nice place. I have good friends. I can buy clothes, you know?
Yeah.
It's these little things that we don't appreciate that really, it just, you can make it. You can make it here. In the Philippines, you're competing for a cashier job at McDonald's with people who have business degrees.
That's true. That's true.
Like,
It's a very tough world in a third world country.
so, I mean, I get it when Asian families tell you,
Yeah.
give up on your dancing or give up on your
Yeah,
singing.
because I think I totally get where they're coming from, because when you're coming from a place where there's not a lot of opportunity, there's not a lot of money, like you're on that damn it.
They're worried for you.
Yeah, and you're in that mindset that is the lack mindset, like lack of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um
Maybe we are seen as privileged, like we can venture into
yeah.
creative areas because there's opportunity here. So it's a give and take. I mean, I understand our parents' point of view, but at the same time, I'm like, Mom, you're the one who put me into singing and dance lessons at the age of 4 and made me cry every weekend because I needed to practice so I could perform in front of all of your friends. Do you remember that? Because I remember that.
Because I think as I don't know, maybe an immigrant, being financially stable is more important than being happy. And I
think
feel
you're right.
like most immigrants look at it that way. It's like, oh, you need to be financially stable to be happy. But if you think about it, a lot of people that are working, whatever job they're working at, like they hate Sunday night, like regretting, like, oh man, I gotta go to work tomorrow. Like this sucks. Like actually, like it's funny because I had a dinner with some friends Sunday night, and like that was like those were the words that are coming out of their mouth. A lot of them too. Like we were in a big table, and then we're having a good time talking, and then we're like it's time to leave, and then they were like, oh yeah, it's time to go because I gotta work tomorrow. Like this sucks, and I was like, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, damn, I'm lucky, even though yeah, I'm not making a lot of money, but I'm like, fuck, like I'm lucky that I don't have to hate Monday mornings.
Mm-hmm. Well, even going back a step further, besides just working, besides being financially stable, I mean, it starts from when we're younger. Because going to school in Asia, your mental well-being, your happiness, it wasn't important. What was important was being successful.
That is true.
How I was telling JERiCK earlier that my freshman year of high school in the Philippines was on par, if not harder, than my senior year of college here in the United States. They pushed us so hard when we were in the Philippines. I would get 3 hours of sleep a night as a 14-year-old trying to finish all of our schoolworks. We were having oral defenses and theses. I was defending my thesis when I was a freshman in high school. Like it was crazy. And that was the focus, because I think the idea is work hard now so you can enjoy later.
Yeah, that's definitely a mindset for a lot of immigrants. It's just make money now so you can retire. But why can't you just enjoy the rest of, let's say, work for 40 years, work really hard so you can live the next 20 years after that? Or why can't you just live
when you're old and you can't do anything
when
anymore?
you're like at 60, when you can't do anything,
Well, that's really interesting, because remember I was telling you that, so my degree is actually in elementary education. I am a K through 8 elementary school teacher. And when I had decided to stop teaching because our county is not very kind to its teachers, when I decided to quit teaching, everybody had told me, just stick with it, bear through it. The benefits are really good. You'll have a really good retirement. And I said the same thing. Why suffer for the next 40 years so that I can be happy later? Why can't I be happy now?
Yeah,
Why can't I
exactly.
find something that's going to make me happy now? And don't get me wrong, I'm not doing anything super fun like you, like photography. I'm doing accounting, but I love it so much more than what I was doing.
Mm-hmm. And I think like it doesn't really matter. Like let's say you have a job like as a nurse or whatever. If you love what you're doing and you're happy, go ahead and do that. But if you're not, if you're always dreading waking up every single day and thinking to yourself like, "Fuck, I'm doing this shit again."
Time to make a
something else.
change.
Yeah, do something else.
Time to make a change.
Because I had that feeling the last, actually early this year, before I quit my job. Because I quit my job in April. I was feeling that way maybe like November last year for like that whole.
That's a long time to wait.
Yeah, the whole 5 months I was just like, I was dreading it. I mean, before that I was kind of enjoying it. It was like cool, steady job. It was, steady paycheck. And I was just kind of like, whatever. Like, this is how it's supposed to be, That's how we were taught growing up. We were like, oh, go to school, find a decent job, and then just do that for the next 40 years.
Well, I like how you said a whole 5 months.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter how long, time is important.
Yeah.
It's a finite resource and you don't want to waste it. And that's the realization I've come to, and why I didn't continue teaching is because we only have so much time and you never ever 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 know what's going to happen. So why not live your life the way you want to know? Now, I'm not saying you should all quit your jobs.
Yeah, don't do that. But you should do something that's getting you one step closer to doing something else.
Mm-hmm. Be passionate, be risky, be adventurous, but also put some thought and research into what you are doing. Don't lose.
Oh yeah.
Don't lose your house.
Oh yeah, definitely. When I quit my job, I didn't just like, oh fuck you, I'm out of here. Like I planned it a little bit. I had at least like a few months of safety net where like, oh okay, if I don't do anything for the next 3 months, or if nothing happens for the next 3 months, I'm like, I'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what happened. That's why I was able to quit, because like, oh, I know I was gonna survive for the next few months, and it's December now, still surviving.
Well, I think it's really brave what you did. I keep going back to this post that I saw on Facebook a couple of weeks ago, and it said, I don't know it verbatim, but it said something like, stop wasting your potential because you fear failure. People with half of your talent are making waves while you're just sitting there. And that's absolutely, that's so true. I mean, I don't know where I was going with that. I mean, that's true. Everybody has a talent. Everybody has something that they're good at.
Yeah.
But they're too afraid to put themselves out there and actually do it. Even if it is just slowly dipping your feet in the water, maybe doing a couple of photo shoots here and there,
mm-hmm.
and then delving more into it, and then putting more of your time into it, and learning and developing it and growing it. People are scared to take that first step because of fear of rejection. And this relates back to our Asian expectation for me, because as I stated earlier, I am a dancer. I do sing, I do act, and apparently now, like, I don't like to say like I model. I don't like to say that because I don't feel like I'm a model. I've done photo shoots and people have asked me to
aspiring
shoot.
Model.
Aspiring. Let's just say that. I don't know. It's weird to me.
Yeah.
So I never like to say that, but I like to perform. I like to perform in multiple aspects. And it's very hard for me to share that part of myself because I've always been told to be good academically, to be good in my career, to be good with numbers. That's what I've been told to be good at. And that's what I showcase myself as. So for me to share a video of myself dancing, just know that I've watched that video 100 times before posting it. If I've recently, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, I shared a video on my Instagram and my Snapchat story of me singing. And I was so nervous. I'd watched it several times. I sent it to several of my friends to ask them if it was acceptable to post.
Wait, is it posted Snapchat or Instagram?
On the story.
Oh,
just
okay.
like honest, not even
on a story that goes away after 24 hours.
Not even an actual post, on a story. That's how nervous I was, because I was taught that that's not going to get me anywhere. And I got so much good feedback from posting it. I had people telling me that they had no idea that I sang. I had people telling me that they wish I would sing more. I had people encouraging me. I had a person who played a song for me and told me to learn it, sing it, and post it.
Nice.
And I had all these people asking me these things. And to me, I don't think, and I guess this is the Asian part of me, I don't think I'm that good. I think I'm pretty average. But to get this good feedback, it's really important. And then it made me think of that quote again. I'm like, maybe I'm just wasting my potential. I don't know. I don't like to boast. I don't want to be put on the spot and have to sing right here. But, there are things you can do that you're just not doing because you're scared.
And you know what's funny too is because, like, we were talking about like family parties earlier. Like, we basically see each other on the holidays like 3 times a year. So
condensed into like 2 months.
Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. Those are the only times I get to see you and everybody else. And it's just like, I wouldn't say insecure, but for me, like I don't like to talk about myself.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when they like ask you like, oh, like I hate that the typical conversation is, where do you work? What do you do as your job? And like, I hate how that is like the typical, because like everybody's just
that's the defining moment. That's the defining factor of who you are as a person.
Like,
what do you do?
What do you do as your job? And that's basically who you are. And like, especially with our family, is like very traditional Asian, like, somebody's a nurse, an accountant, like, somebody's working at a post office. It's just like the typical jobs that you would get. And here I am doing whatever the hell I'm doing. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Media?
Yeah.
We'll say media.
I'm a content creator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I like
that's that sound. Yeah. That sounds fancy. Especially in the new age where we didn't have this kind of stuff before, you know? Like, growing up, our parents didn't have YouTube, they didn't have the internet. And now you can basically, creative is like the next cool career.
Mm-hmm. So it's something that, the older generation doesn't really understand.
Yeah, they don't understand it. And they kind of, maybe they look down on it a little bit, like, oh, where's the money in that? And then, because
where's the intellect in that? You're not using your brain, because that's very important to Asians too. Your brain has to be working, and they don't see creative outlets as intellectual.
Yeah, because it's tough too, is because it's like, especially when you're creative, the first few years of your career is the toughest because you're basically broke. It's like, it's tough to be, because like they always ask like, oh, how much money you're making doing that and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, fuck, like, yeah, I'm barely making anything. I'm basically just surviving every month. But
well, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was about to say, it seems, even outside of the Asian culture, it seems as if parents don't give their approval for creative outlets until they start seeing big dollar signs.
Yeah. Until you start paying like until you start making big boy money, they're basically like on the fence. Like, my mom still tells, well, not anymore. The first few months that I quit my job, they were like, oh, you should apply here, you should apply there. Like, this is a good job. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And I had that conversation with my mom too. I was like, I'm gonna do whatever I want to do, and you're basically gonna have to deal with it. I mean, I didn't say it like that,
That
but
is so shocking to me because
um,
growing up, we always thought you were the more traditional one, the fob one.
I think I was, but I think
But I guess we just thought that's how you're going to be as an adult. And then when I saw all of your photography and all of your videos, I was like, oh my gosh,
it's
who
like
is this?
this is not the guy that I used to know.
I saw you when you were fresh off the boat.
Yeah. I think I was like I had that mindset growing up. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna go to college, gonna get a good job, get married, and that's it.
And that's your life.
That was gonna be my life. And then for some reason, whatever happened when I turned 27, that's when I figure out, you know what? Like, fuck this. It's just like,
What was that defining moment when you turned 27?
I had my heart broken.
Oh.
Yeah. It's funny.
I'm so sorry.
No, don't be. Actually, like, that was awesome.
Why do you
mean,
say that?
Here I am now doing this. I feel like it pushed me to. It basically made me figure out my life. Because when I got my heart broken,
Did you maybe need therapy then?
probably, yeah. And maybe I needed therapy during that time, but not as much anymore. But yeah, maybe I should definitely still check out therapy. But it made me realize that there's more to life than whatever I was doing. Because I think during that time, like I was out of college, I was working full time, maybe like a year or so.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, I was like, oh, this is cool. This is how being an adult is, just working full time, Monday through Friday, go home, have fun on the weekend. That was it. Then after that, when I got my heart broken, I was like, fuck, like what the hell have I been doing in my life? Like, why is this all of a sudden like very sad to me now? Not because I got my heart broken, but I was like, this life is kind of like, I don't want to say mediocre because a lot of people are doing it.
It wasn't for you.
Yeah, definitely not for me. I felt like I needed something more.
That's interesting because I feel like last year I had a very pivotal moment in my life, and it wasn't a heartbreak. It was actually falling in love with dance, finding that again for me because I started dancing when I was 4 years old. And I danced all throughout high school. I danced when I was in college in the Philippines. And when I came to the States, I had to work so much. And again, that goes back to I had to make money. I had to focus on my success. So I had to give up dancing. I gave up dancing for 5 years. 5 years I didn't dance. And in that moment, I was so focused on reaching my goals, what I thought my life should be, that it didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And so after I graduated, I was working and I figured, oh, I have time now. I can explore this avenue again. And my confidence in dance was nowhere near where it was when I had stopped. It had deteriorated. I didn't know my body as much anymore. And it was taking that first step, being brave enough to go to a studio that I had never been to with people I didn't know at all. Taking that first step and taking that dance class, that was a pivotal moment for me because it led me to perform again at the 2019 Reno Latin Dance Festival in front of thousands of people. And in doing so, I learned 2 new styles of Latin dance and I joined a new team. And whereas I thought my life, before this, I thought my life was just going to be a 9 to 5, get a house, get married, have kids.
The typical lifestyle,
And that's not my life at all anymore. I get to travel to different cities and go to dance festivals and perform and train with pro dancers. I train every single night from 8:30 until about 11 to try and get better. And my life is focused on going to different cities and seeing different things and traveling. And
Do you feel a lot happier that now that you're doing that?
I do. And it actually, aside from the therapy, it's helped with my bipolar disorder too, because it became a creative outlet for me. It became a form of expression. And when I tell my mom, when I talk to her about my life, I really try to emphasize how important that creative outlet is, how pivotal it was for me, how it helped every other aspect of my life to improve.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you that. Like, did you tell the family this? Like, have you told the rest of the family aside from your mom that whatever you're doing?
I try to. I tell them that they need to find things other, and they're a little bit more new age than I am. I would say.
What do you mean new age?
They're not as bound by Asian expectation as I am.
Oh, are you talking about like the younger ones, the cousins? Oh, I thought.
Oh, we're talking about the parents?
Yeah, basically the grown-ups, the adults, the old people.
I have learned that in an Asian household, it's easier to just let the old people believe what they want to believe than to argue with them. So, I mean, everybody knows that I've always said giving up dance was the worst thing that I've ever done for myself. The worst thing. And, it's really changed my life now, but I'm not about to go up to my scary Asian aunts and tell them that I'm going to give up my career to dance. There are a lot of things that I keep under wraps.
I feel like right now that's not the conversation to have. It's because like maybe when you start getting like making real money, then you can be like, oh, I'm a dancer now. And then they'll be like, oh, cool. Well, at least you're financially stable.
Oh, well, they know I practice so much. They know I perform a lot. And the first question they ask, do you get paid to dance? And I'm just like,
it's always,
that's not what it's about.
Yeah, it's always
it's a dollar
That's
sign.
why when people ask me about this podcast, it's like, I'm not making any money off this. Not yet, at least. Because I'm still figuring that part out.
It's still a baby. You gotta grow it.
Like especially like it's only been like a few months, so it's not. I'm not even expecting to make anything after like a year or so. But that's always the question.
How much money are you making?
Yeah, it's kind of sad. But I mean, that's just the reality of things.
And it's just something that you have to accept. I know they don't mean anything by it. They just want the best for you, but they're old school. They're in the mentality that the best thing for you is money.
Yeah, I totally agree. Because like I said, my mom used to tell me like, oh, after I quit my job, like, oh, you should apply for this, apply for that. But she hasn't said anything after this last few months.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe it's because she saw that you can support yourself.
Yeah, but she'd be like, oh, he's doing okay. He's doing fine.
Your mom is a lot less harsh than our moms were, though.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, she's a lot more chill. I got lucky.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. Going back, there's a lot of things that I do not say or argue about with our family. Like, for example, do I go to church? No, I don't. I get every single time I go over to, did you go to church? No. And I'd rather the family believe that I was a bad daughter who doesn't go to Catholic church than for them to really understand what I believe in. Which is, I guess, I feel like you're going to ask.
What? Nah, well, we'll try to stay away from religion and politics in the podcast. But that's cool.
So, yeah, that's not a topic that I try to talk about it a lot with our family. And then once the money question comes up, I'm done. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
Because then
that's why I keep quiet in like the holiday parties. I'm just like, oh, I'm just chilling.
It makes me feel like a failure. Like when I say, no, I'm not making money, I feel like I'm failing them.
You know what? That's one of, I don't have a lot of insecurities, but that's definitely one of the things that I'm working on. Is because sometimes I get insecure about that. Because especially at my age, I'm like 30. I should be basically making money, have a house, a family, like that's like expected of me. But like I said, I'm lucky that my mom hasn't pushed that on me, but she has been saying I should she wants grandkids soon. So yeah, working on that.
Pressure's on.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you also have to think we do everything at a later pace now than everybody else.
That is true.
I mean,
we're millennials.
true, but it has to do with the economy. It has to do with the culture. People 30 years ago could buy a house at 19 years old for less than $100,000. That's not even feasible now.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to pay, to just show you how much our market has increased, I used to pay $750 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment.
Ooh, now that's like $2,000 for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
So it's a different time. It's a different place. People are spending more time understanding themselves, I feel, trying to develop themselves before they start a family,
And
before they settle down.
I think I'm glad that it's going into that direction where people, especially, it's funny to say, it's like, oh, millennials, they're always, all about self-awareness and like figuring yourself out, and which is, it's really a good thing. It's like, why do something that you hate for the next 40 years, 50 years of
Just
your
because
life?
that's what everybody else has done.
Yeah, like you should be doing, like if you're working, like, I don't know, whatever stuff that you love to do and just making enough money to survive, like, and you're a lot happier, you should totally do that.
Yeah, why be miserable?
Yeah.
Why put yourself through that? And honestly, it's okay to be a little bit selfish.
Yeah.
Right
That's what I
now-
learned.
Right now, I'm in the point of my life where I'm being selfish. I don't have kids. And that's not to say I don't want to have kids, but I want to be ready when I have kids. I want to know I've done what I wanted to do and now I can devote my life to something else. But I want to focus on me. I worked full time and went to school full time. I was always focused on the goal. And now is my time to figure out who I am, figure out what I want to do, and just enjoy. Like next year, I'll be in New Orleans in February, and then I'll be in Hawaii in April, and then I'll be in Ohio
For dancing?
in May. No, that's not even dancing. So I'll be in California a lot next year for dancing, and that's like this summer. Almost every single weekend I was out of town.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so
Must be fun.
California, that's easy. I'll be in Vegas in July. I'll be in Portland in August. And who knows where else I'll be taken next year. But that's the beauty of it. I have the option to do that.
Yeah. And that's what I keep trying to tell people, especially with the podcast. Like, just follow your passion.
I mean,
Your
look,
dream.
you just came. Yeah, how much do you travel?
I travel a lot. Yeah, I've been lucky because my friend, the one that hires me to do like travel with him
Mhm.
as a videographer, it's been awesome. I think I traveled maybe 5-6 times last year.
And would you have been able to do that with your 9-to-5 job that you
Nope.
did not like? Exactly.
Definitely not.
Your passion
Yeah.
takes you places.
Exactly.
Whether it pays you money or not, it takes you places. It connects you with people. It reaches you in ways you didn't think were feasible. And it takes you out of this cookie cutter life that people sell to you
Yeah.
as a pipe dream.
And I think, especially when you follow your passion and you're actually good at it, don't worry about the money. The money will come eventually. I mean, I never thought I would be able to do this, and here I am now doing it.
And maybe
Yeah.
your passion is maybe your passion's accounting, maybe your passion is
Yeah.
medicine, maybe your passion is being a parent. That's okay too, but I guess the point that I'm trying to say here is don't let other people's expectations dictate your own life. You dictate it. It's
Yeah.
your life. It's your choice.
Because I had that conversation with my mom too. I didn't exactly say it like this, but I basically, I mean, to summarize the whole the whole conversation, I basically said that I could either do whatever you want me to do and resent you for it eventually,
Mm-hmm.
or do whatever I want to do and maybe like butt heads for the next few years or so. But I'll be a lot happier, and then I'll be basically a lot happier with better relationship with my mom, and that's what I told her. And now we're pretty good. I mean, obviously she still worries because
She'll never stop worrying.
yeah,
Though.
they're just being a mom.
But I think we need to
Happiness.
ultimately the
is
happiness is the goal of each parent. A parent wants their child to be happy, but they need to get out of their head that happiness is equal to money.
Yeah, exactly. Because a lot of parents like, oh, if you're rich, then you can be happy. But you've seen a lot of rich people. Some of them are not happy.
Like, don't get me wrong. If you wanted to give me $5 million,
Oh, yeah.
I will happily take it.
Oh yeah, if I was a millionaire now, I would be a lot happier. But
That's not what it's all about.
Yeah, I'm still gonna be, even if I make either 50,000 a year, 100,000 a year, or $1 million a year. If I get to do what I want to do, then I'll be happy, regardless of how much money I'll be making.
Do you know there was an interesting study that said there's a threshold, there's a certain ratio
Yeah.
of how much money you should be making?
Well, yeah, what's the threshold? Is it like 100,000 or something?
No, they said
I mean, it should be 100,000 now since everything's so fucking expensive.
the threshold is like 80 to 100,000. Once you're over that, your
You're not as happy.
happiness rate goes
Yeah.
down because you know
It becomes more money comes with a lot of stress too, because you got to worry about
and the
other
more
stuff.
you make, the bigger your expenses come because
Yeah,
when you don't make enough money, you have
a certain lifestyle.
a certain lifestyle and it's decent still.
Yeah.
But then you get more money. So then you upgrade your lifestyle and then you get more money and then you upgrade again.
Yeah.
And it just keeps escalating to the point where you make so much money, your expenses are so big. Is it worth it now?
Yep. Because even if you're making 100,000 a year, if your lifestyle is 100,000 a year, you're still
Breaking even?
yeah, exactly.
Like you have nicer stuff, but you're more stressed out.
Yep.
So there's a threshold. But goals.
Yeah. I mean, the ultimate goal is just be happy. Yeah.
And I think it comes from a mindset.
Definitely.
Like going back, it's our mindset that we need to change. We need to take care of our mental well-being,
That's
our
why
emotional.
therapy is important.
I promise I'm not advertising.
Sponsored by blah 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 therapist.
Sometimes I feel like with as much therapy as I do, I could be somebody's therapist, which has actually happened.
I mean, I feel like I could be somebody's therapist. I'm just not licensed.
You know who the cheapest therapists are?
Bartenders?
Ooh, that's a good one. I was gonna say nail techs and hairdressers.
That's for ladies.
Some men like to do that too.
Okay, fine. Barbers.
Like if you go to a barber,
yeah.
like they hear everyone's life story.
Yeah, because my friend cuts my hair and we always like catch up like every time he cuts my hair.
So appreciate your nail tech and your hairdresser and your barber and your bartender because so I've asked my nail techs before, I'm like, what's the worst story you've ever heard? And they go, this one lady came in and somebody died in her family and she was crying. Like they go through a lot. It takes a lot to be able to take those emotions off of people.
Yeah, definitely. That's
To tip your nail tech well.
You know what I really want to do next year though? 2020. I want to have more like coffee dates with people. Well, not date romantic wise, but like
Just
sit down for a coffee with somebody.
and be able to chill and it's funny because
We had that coffee.
that was the first time we had ever hung out, just the two
Yeah.
of us, and we went to Starbucks. And I thought it was gonna be. I literally thought it was gonna be like, oh, it's like 30 minutes. We're just gonna catch up and
Yeah.
call it good. We were there for a couple of hours.
What did we meet up for? What were we gonna talk about? Was it just like hella random?
I don't even remember.
Because I remember we had a conversation. It was like we never talk at the parties because, there's so many people there. You got to talk to everybody. But
And then I think we were talking about because
I think you commented about our podcast. And then you were like, oh, you're doing a podcast now?
Oh, yeah, it was.
Yeah,
and then we started talking about how we have a lot of mutual friends and we know a lot of the same people. We know a lot of the same creatives. And then it just stemmed from there and we're like, hey, let's have coffee. And that was the first time that we had actually sat down, really gotten to know one another, really had conversations deeper than, yeah, where do you work?
Exactly.
How much do you make?
Yeah.
And
it was very refreshing.
it was an eye-opener, definitely. And I think we're a lot closer now than we were.
That's true.
And we know how to communicate now.
Yeah, definitely 2020, I want to do that.
Make connections with people.
Exactly.
I always emphasize that. I mean, in today's world, we're so busy and we're so caught up in our own thing. And we need to go back. We need to go back and connect with people and listen. People want to talk, but do they listen?
Yeah. You know what I've been really into lately is like the universe, the vibes, the energy. Very hippie-ish, but it's interesting.
It's coming back. I feel like in this day and age, people are going back to...
because people are so stressed and depressed that like maybe there's something better than just being that, Like people are kind of like looking into that a lot more.
Taking care of their mental well-being.
Yeah.
Like meditation.
Millennials, man.
Meditation is a lot more important.
Yeah.
And it's good. And going into that too, in making a connection with a person, listening, we need to go even further and understand. Because, we talk about how people have anxiety. We talk about how people have depression. But what does that actually mean? We're so quick to judge, to get angry with somebody, to put fault at somebody. If somebody says, I can't hang out tonight, a lot of people, their first reaction is to be upset. Yeah. Why did I do something? It's not always about you.
True.
And so in connecting with people, we need to become more kind, more understanding, more forgiving, because you never know what somebody's going through.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking about this earlier. He didn't even know I had bipolar disorder because I seem so normal.
Yeah, you seem normal.
I seem normal, but you
still seem normal. I
But
mean, that's a good thing. That's saying a lot.
But you don't see people struggle.
True.
So don't judge people.
Yeah, just be nice to everybody. And we talked about a lot of gold today. Hopefully people learn a little bit.
So, do you want to summarize it? Like, what's our summary?
Before we do final thoughts, we normally have a few segments in our podcast for new guests.
Okay.
We normally do it in the beginning, but since we skipped all that, because I think I prefer to just like go deep into it, just so we don't waste people's time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But since they're still here after an hour, might as well do a few questions.
Okay.
Fun questions.
First
question is, what's your guilty pleasure?
Oh. Okay, what do you mean as a guilty pleasure?
Something you're not necessarily ashamed, but something that you really like, or you like to do, or something that you like that you're kind of ashamed to admit.
Oh, I feel like I'm put on the spot. I'm trying to think. I feel like I do a lot of things that are very weird and random. But guilty pleasure, putting vinegar on everything I eat.
Oh God, that's gross.
If that isn't Filipino, I don't know what is.
You know what? The thing that I'm really into right now, I eat sriracha every single meal. I put it in my rice. And like not just like, a tiny little like press, but it's just
like sabaw.
Basically like a whole sauce. I make it as a sauce. And sometimes I put too much that I'm like, fuck, it's so spicy, but it's still good.
Oh, okay. You know what's my guilty pleasure? This is so gross. This reminds me. Do you remember that spicy noodle challenge?
Yeah.
I love eating that ramen. And ramen is
That's
like
so good.
it's so good. It's so spicy and it's so bad for you. I've read so many articles about how ramen causes obesity, and I'm trying to like be fit. I'm trying to be healthy right
Do you
now.
eat it a lot? How
Like,
often do you eat it?
Okay, whenever I go to the Asian store, I'll buy like 2 packs of 5, and I'll tell myself I'm gonna space it out, but no, I eat all of them within like 5 days. So I'll eat ramen every meal.
That's really
and
bad.
It's so spicy sometimes that I kid you not, like the aftermath when you have to go to the bathroom, it is not pretty, and that is my guilty pleasure.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's so good though.
Yeah, I like spicy food.
You should get the carbonara kind and then put an egg and cheese in it.
Ooh, I tried the spicy noodle challenge, and it was the ×4 one.
Oh,
Yeah, it was pretty spicy. But we added like eggs and like cheese on it to like.
oh, then you tamed it.
Yeah, we tamed it down a little bit, but it was still pretty spicy. It was good, but I feel like I couldn't finish it, not because it was too spicy, but it was just like it was kind of disgusting after a while. Yeah, I don't know if it was like the cheese or the egg that was mixed in there, but it was just kind of
You couldn't eat anymore.
yeah, it was just like gross. But the first half of it was like, oh man, this is really good.
I'm not gonna lie. I have a pack at home right now, and I'm so tempted to just make it tonight because it sounds really like I made ribs last night, and that's the food I have at home right now. But what I want to eat is this ramen.
Nice. All right. Next question is, what's your current obsession aside from the ramen?
Ooh, this is like a guilty pleasure too. I love to read webtoons.
What's webtoons?
It's a Korean app that they're Korean mangas.
Oh,
So they're Korean comic books, and I will just sit. I spent so much money.
Is it like love stories?
So
Nerd.
I like to read romantic comic books, and you can get fast passes, which are like 5 coins per fast pass, and you can get 80 coins for like $11. I spent so much money on this app trying to get fast passes.
That could be a guilty pleasure too. Yeah.
There have been weekends where I'll just lay in bed and read these cartoons, and I'm like so ashamed that people are like.
So you haven't told anybody this?
Like my
but now it's out there
everybody
for
knows. My
the
friends,
rest of the world.
a lot of my friends have seen me do it, and they're like, "You're such a nerd," and I'm like,
Fuck it. And that's the thing too that I want to like emphasize is like, if you enjoy something, fuck it, own it.
"Oh, that and cheesy romantic Christmas movies. Those get me every time."
What, like the love story ones
Mm-hmm.
for Christmas?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Those are the best ones. I don't know
I
what
like
it is.
romantic comedies, but I don't think I've ever seen. I mean,
Go
some
on
Christmas
Netflix, watch the Christmas ones. They're so corny, and the dialogue is so horrible. The acting is horrible, but they get me.
Maybe. But yeah, I love romantic comedies. My favorite one is probably Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
I could see that. That's a good one.
I mean, it's really funny.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
What's his name? Jason
Segel.
Yeah.
And, Mila Kunis and Kristen
Bell.
Hot.
It's a good lineup.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely a good lineup.
I haven't watched that one in years, though.
I think I watch it at least like once a year. And like I love How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, okay. I could see that. I'm more of a Friends person, but it's okay.
I've seen it at least like 6 times.
That's how I feel about Friends.
The whole thing.
I feel like you're either a How I Met Your Mother person, a Friends person, or an Office person. Those are the 3.
I've only seen Friends once. I mean, I like it. But I prefer How I Met Your Mother. Yeah. We don't agree on that one. But yeah, that's it for the questions.
Oh, it was just okay.
Final thoughts.
Final thoughts? Are we summarizing now?
Yeah, to wrap this whole thing up.
All right. Final thoughts on Asian expectation and everything we've talked about.
I feel like we talked more.
We talked about a lot of things, though.
Yeah.
Don't Don't waste your potential because you're scared to take a risk. Always know that you're more than enough. But keep striving to get better. Take care of your mental well-being. And don't be afraid to take risks and follow your passions.
I agree 100%. Final thoughts for me. Just do your thing. I mean, you kind of said all the good stuff already.
What I told you, I'm Asian. I try to be perfect.
Yeah. If your family is not letting you do whatever you want to be doing, tell them to go fuck themselves. I'm kidding. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
But
you get your ass beat.
say it in a nicer way. But yeah, tell them to fuck themselves.
Nicely. Your mom's gonna watch this and be like, "What'd you say? What did you say?"
She doesn't listen to my podcast.
Oh, the harsh truth.
I mean, yeah, it's okay.
She will once you make the money.
Yeah, once I make like $1 million from this, then maybe she'll listen. But because I talk about weird stuff in here. No, not too weird. But
you talk about.
No, yeah, pretty
It's pretty
mellow.
PG. It's pretty PG.
Yeah, for the most part. But I definitely want to get into the more ratchet stuff.
Risque stuff.
Risque.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Taboo.
Like sex stuff.
This is so awkward.
Yeah. No, because I had you know Grayson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw that part where she's like, teach your man. Teach your man.
Yeah. We're definitely gonna have her on the podcast again, and I feel like it would be interesting to dive into that because it's part of life.
It is.
Yeah.
I think it's becoming a little bit more prevalent now. It's not as taboo.
Yeah, that's true. It's a little bit more out in the open. So it's becoming, instead of a rated R, it's more of a PG-13.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. But yeah, that's it. Is that it?
I think that's it.
Yeah, cool. See you guys later.
Thank you.
Peace.
Bye.